It says, now those who were scattered because of the persecution that arose over Stephen traveled as far as Phoenicia and Cyprus and Antioch, speaking the word to no one except for Jews. But there were some of them, men of Cyprus and Cyrene, who on coming to Antioch, they spoke to the Hellenists. These are the Greeks. They were also preaching the Lord Jesus, and the hand of the Lord was with them. And a great number who believed turned to the Lord. It starts off by talking about the persecution, that they were scattered from their homes. They lost everything, their livelihoods, their families. Some of them were thrown in prison. Some of them were even killed at the hands of the religious leaders in the persecution that they went through. And so now they have to start their lives all over in a foreign city with people speaking different languages, in a different culture, worshiping different gods. They're in a completely new context. Can you imagine, emotionally for a moment, could you imagine the trauma that they must have been through in those first couple of years of following Jesus? The pain that they had to go through, the poverty that they were living in. And in that moment, did they blame God? God, I thought you were good. Why is this happening to me? In that moment, did they blame the church? Did they blame each other? No, what did they do? They cared for each other even in the midst of their suffering and their poverty and in their pain. They cared for each other. And that's why they were able to continue to grow. It says that they were speaking the word of the Lord to everyone. They were still like, hey, I met Jesus. He changed my life. He could change your life too. And then they saw somebody suffering and they stepped in, and just as Jesus suffered on the cross for my sins, Jesus understands what suffering is. And so I'm going to enter into this suffering with you, and I'm going to bear your burden. Therefore, I'm going to fulfill the teachings that Christ had given to us to love God and to love our neighbors. They provided care for each other even when they were suffering and hurting. They still had time to make time and be with those who are also hurting and suffering as well.